Hey guys, welcome back to Bibliophile Reads. I'm Courtney, joining me for another weekly wrap up. If you are new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I do bookish videos, I do Kindle videos, I do weekly wrap ups, I do book hauls, all the things. Check out my content to see if it's something that you would like to subscribe to. I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers and would love to hit that benchmark. If you are returning, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you being part of this community. And I hope you like the content you're seeing today. So I'm doing my weekly wrap up. I'm a day late. So this has been just a busy week in general. This week, well, if you've been on my channel, you know that I do work in education, but I'm not a teacher. And this week, and I work from home. This week I had an in-person conference that was 3 days local, but that pulled me away from content making and creating, but I did get a book out of it, and it's called Culturally Responsive School Leadership by Dr. Muhammad Khalifa, showing this here if you're interested in this topic. It was a really great conference. This is the work that I deal in, so it wasn't new information, but it was interesting to hear it all, so got that. And then this weekend, my husband was actually out of town, and so that meant I was on full board mommy mode, which I am anyway, but you know, it's different when your spouse is gone. There are no breaks, and so that's what I was doing, so I couldn't film, I couldn't break away. So anyway, let me give you a few updates. I got a few books this week and a couple of bookish things, so I want to show you that first, and then I'll talk about what I read, and then what I plan to read next. So let's start off with the bookish things. It's only bookmarks, but I was watching somebody else's channel, and I saw an Etsy shop called Fleurs on Sunday. Oh, they're printed in London. Okay, that's what it's called, and I will link it down below. I got them on Etsy, and I think I actually saw this on Destiny Stibel's channel, but she does bookmarks, and they're just super cute. And so I went on. They're not that expensive, and seeing as they're coming from London, they did come pretty quickly, so that was great. The first one I got is the Cozy Girl Book Club. Relaxation guaranteed. You're invited to attend a book club hosted by the Cozy Girl Book Club. Dress code: cozy pajamas, comfy robe, and slippers. Admit one cozy reader. Welcome drink included. So I like that. It's cute. It's giving fall was my idea for these bookmarks. And I do have a stash of the magnetic bookmarks, but I've really been into like an actual bookmark in the page. Here's another ticket style one, but this one's called Lifetime Membership to Fleurs on Sunday Book Club. And it's got like the link and a QR code. And then this one I thought was adorable. It says, buy me books and tell me I'm pretty. I love it. I'm not a coquette girl. As I say that, my phone has a bow case on it, but it was pink and cute. And then here's another one that's similar. It's the Bookish Cafe. And then books are my therapy, which absolutely. And then this one was perfect for autumn essentials. Trying to get that glare. They came in these little plastic wrappers. They're solid. All but one came in it. So they're solid. I don't know if you can tell what kind of paper it is, but just a textured thick paper. So I'm going to take them out of the wrappers as I use them. You don't need the wrappers, but it's there. So I love that. Again, I'll link her Etsy shop down below. Then I picked up a few books, physical books. I'm always looking on my Kindle, but these are the physical books, and I have a couple coming. So what I was doing was trying to find a couple of books that I've been stuck on moving forward on my Kindle, and so I thought I would get the physical copy of it, and I really am trying to slow down on my physical copies. These are just one-offs. So the first book I got was One Dark Window. This is by Rachel Gillig, and this is a fantasy novel. And it says, Elspeth Spindle needs more than luck to stay safe in the eerie, mislocked kingdom of Blunder. She needs a monster. She calls him the Nightmare, an ancient miracle spirit trapped in her head. He protects her, he keeps her secrets. But nothing comes for free, especially magic. When Elspeth meets a mysterious highwayman on the forest road, her life takes a drastic turn. Thrust into a world of shadow and deception, she joins a dangerous quest to cure Blunder of the dark magic infecting it, except the highwayman just so happens to be the king's own nephew, captain of the most dangerous men in Blunder and guilty of high treason. So this is book one. I don't know if this is a duology, but Two Twisted Crowns comes next. I've heard that Two Twisted Crowns is better than this one, but you got to start somewhere. And then I did pick up my Vampire Plus One by Jenna Levine, and she had the book last year, My Roommate is a Vampire. I think I gave that book like a 3, maybe 4 star. I thought it was pretty cute, a little far-fetched, but I was not mad about the sequel, so I picked it up. And I could have sworn that I had the paperback of the first one. I haven't double checked yet, but generally if I get a paperback or a physical book of one book in the series, I try to get the whole series in physical. So, okay, this one says, Amelia Collins is by definition successful. She would even go so far as to say successfully single, but not according to her family. She's tired of the constant questions about her non-existent dating life. When an invitation to yet another family wedding arrives, she decides to get everyone off her back once and for all by finding someone, anyone, to pose as her date. After a chance encounter with Reginald Cleves, Amelia decides he's perfect for her purposes. He's a bit strange, but that's fine. It'll discourage tough questions from her family, and it certainly doesn't hurt that he's very handsome. For centuries, old vampire Reggie, posing as her plus one, sounds like the ultimate fun. And if it helps his ruse of pretending to be human, so much the better. As Amelia and Reggie practice their faux-mance, it becomes clear that Reggie is as loyal to her as the day is long, and that Amelia's first impressions could not have been more wrong. Suddenly, being in a relationship with Reggie sounds pretty fantastic. Oh, fantastic. So I am going to read that. That's more of a October book. And then I've been in my literary fiction grind, if you've been watching me lately. So invested in literary fiction. I even read one this past week that I will share. But I did pick up Margos Got Money Troubles. This is a really short book. Please buy. I don't know if you're anti-Amazon. Some people are. But it's so much cheaper on Amazon than if you go into Barnes, unfortunately. So this one says, as the child of a Hooters waitress and an ex-pro wrestler, Margot Millet's always known she'd have to make it on her own. So she enrolls at her local junior college, even though she can't imagine how she'll ever make a living. She's still figuring things out and never planned to have an affair with her English professor. And while their affair is brief, it isn't brief enough to keep her from getting pregnant. Despite everyone's advice, she decides to keep the baby, mostly out of naivete and a yearning for something bigger. Now at 20, Margot is alone with an infant, unemployed, and on the verge of eviction. She needs a cash infusion fast. When her estranged father, Jinx, shows up on her doorstep and asks to move in with her, she agrees in exchange for help with childcare. Then Margot begins to form her plan. She'll start an OnlyFans as an experiment. She soon finds herself adapting some of Jinx's advice from the world of wrestling, like how to craft a compelling character and make your audience fall in love with you. Before she knows it, she's turned it into a runaway success. Could this be the answer to all of Margot's problems, or does internet fame come with too high a price? So this just sounded really good to me. I just read the back cover of it and thought it sounded good. This was also on Book of the Month Club. I did not pick it up. I actually recently paused Book of the Month Club. I'm sure as we all are in this crazy world of inflation and all these expenses, like, you have to start cutting some things. And although I do love Book of the Month, it is more likely that I could just go buy that one book versus picking up books that I don't really want just to say that I'm doing the monthly. So I paused it for 3 months to see where we go with it. But that's a rant. So that's the third book that I got. So those are the new books that I got. So let me dig into what I read this week. All right, this was a great week for reading. Even though I was tired after being at this conference most days, it was still good. So I read 3 books. I'm trying to pick out like 3 books per week that I can finish. I think 3 books is attainable, especially if it doesn't include a Babysitters Club. I'm kind of stuck on book 51 in Babysitters Club because I recently read that book, but not recent enough to know what it is. So I have to finish reading it, but it's not a priority of mine. So there's that. So I read 3 books. I read The God of the Woods, Between Friends and Lovers, and Right on Cue. So let's start off with The God of the Woods. This was so good. This book is by Liz Moore. I picked it up as an add-on for Book of the Month Club. It was a Book of the Month Club book in July, and this is also the Book of the Month pick for Barnes & Noble in July, but I just picked it up because everybody was talking about it, and I can see why. First, I read this book on Audible to start because, no, let me take that back. I read it first, I believe starting on Sunday of last week, just out, reading it. I think I read about 100 pages, and it was going well, nothing wrong with it. But since I had the commute last week, I decided to listen to it there. It was like a 40-minute drive there and back, so I decided to listen to it. Excuse me. And it was such a good idea to listen to it. Not that reading it wasn't great, because I did both, but it just kept me totally engaged. So this book is definitely like a murder mystery, whodunit, family triangle type thing. So we are sitting in 1975, and we enter the space in a camp. We meet our main players, Barbara, Louise, Tracy, and, oh, what's her other name? It starts with an A, and Annabelle. Okay. So Annabelle and Louise are camp counselors. Annabelle is a junior counselor. Barbara and Tracy are bunkmates. And we kind of start off the story right away, and Barbara turns up missing. As we go through the day, we have different perspectives. So we have Tracy's perspective as Barbara's roommate to see like was anything going on with her. We have Annabelle and Louise's perspective. We have Louise's boyfriend. We have the kitchen cook who had a crush on Louise. And then we have Barbara's family, which has a whole nother level of stuff going on. So we have her parents, we have a guy named Carl, and we have Barbara's brother that also went and disappeared. And so we kind of go back and forth in time, depending on whose perspective we're on. And we get the backstories of each person, from the mom to the dad to their relationship together to all of this stuff. And the mom and dad are this Richie couple. The dad is very domineering, comes from a family of just kind of like old white money. And they own this camp sort of plot of land, and there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of secret things going on that needs to be explored, and it might lead to us finding out what happens to Barbara. So I literally I was so enraptured by this book. I wasn't sure, and I think that's the good thing about picking my 3 books. I really have a commitment to those books unless they're really bad. And there was nothing wrong with this book, so I wanted to keep going. And I'm so glad that I picked it up and did. We also have in this book the 2 detectives that are working on this. And so we have Utica and Hayes, Detective Hayes. And Hayes is an old vet on the detective team, and Utica is a young woman in the 70s, and so she's getting a hard time, or having a hard time fitting in, and people not believing that she would be successful at her job. So there's just so many good elements to this book. I really, really, really recommend it. It is long. I didn't feel any part really lagged, but I was so much at the end of like what happened, because there's so much storytelling of everybody's side that you just want to know what happened. But if you have Spotify Premium, it's on there, or if you have Audible, you can get it. I suggest doing some of it on audio because it's just a good story. After that, I needed something a little bit lighter. So I decided to read the book Right on Cue by Fallon Ballard. And this book is so funny to me. So I saw it at Barnes & Noble on my birthday haul, but chose not to pick it up. And then I came home and bought it on my Kindle. But I also had it on hold at the library and got that at the same time I bought it. So I was like, oh no, like I didn't know that I had it on hold. And then I also bought it on my Kobo. So I was really dedicated about this book. And it wasn't necessary. It really wasn't. This book was so mid. And I don't know if I was influenced because God of the Woods was so good, but this was just not it. So this book follows 2 actors. I don't know any of their names. So let's talk about the girl. They both were teen actors. They starred in a movie together, and they had an on-screen kiss. It didn't go well. She overheard him saying that the kiss was bad, and that got out, and she blames him for not getting work. Now, she is a Nepo baby whose parents were in the industry. Now she's just a writer, not just a writer, right? Now she's a writer. She doesn't act because all her acting gigs were gone. And then he has continued to act and does like Marvel movies and stuff. So they come together to work by happenstance because she's the writer of a movie he's in, and they can't find a lead for the movie, so they pick her. It is a romance movie, and so they have to pretend to have chemistry, and that's really, really hard for them. Obviously, they have bad blood. They haven't talked about it, and so the director, who's also her friend, says they have to figure this out, otherwise the whole movie's done. And so they decide to get to know each other. They sense some tension, and they decide that they're going to just hook up one time, it's fine, and then move on and have chemistry on set. And of course they fall in love and all the things. It was just so mid. I don't recommend this book. I think it's just the most basic plot for romance, and I think we deserve better as readers. It was just too simplistic. Now, this is the second Fallon Ballard book that I've read that I haven't really enjoyed, so I don't think I'm coming back to her. But I did read this. I did not enjoy it, and I don't necessarily recommend it unless you just want something really straightforward and cheesy. Then I read Between Friends and Lovers. This book is by Shirlene. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. It's Obi. And this book was pretty good. So this book follows Dr. Jojo, and she is like a sex therapist on, the virtual platforms, all the social media platforms. And she has a long-term male friend, Ezra. They met in college. They've been cool. She has a crush on him, but he has a girlfriend, and he has chosen a girlfriend that was her arch nemesis in school, and he knows this, and yet he still chose to date her. So her and Ezra are not really hanging out. But at a party, she meets Malcolm, and Malcolm is an artist who has been asking for advice in her DMs for something like 6 years. And so they start dating. And there is some hesitancy in the dating because Jojo doesn't want to get hurt. She's also very new to dating and doing anything physical. Although she has this platform, she's not very experienced. And Malcolm's coming off of a 10-year relationship with his ex, who broke up with him via a Post-it note. And so so they're both hesitant to come together, but they do. And there's a miscommunication in the middle, which I don't want to spoil for you. And then it recovers, and it kind of follows that trope. Now, the difference between this and Right on Cue, because they have sort of like a very similar, not similar trope, but just a very similar basic romance trope, is that there is like a literary fiction element to this book. It talks a lot about Jojo's choice to be abstinent, as well as like things that have happened in their past, trauma-wise, how they have worked through these things with therapy. So there's a lot more going on than just the romance, but the romance is the focal point. It also talks about all the careers that they have and what they're doing. So there's other things going on. So I really did like that element of it. So I do recommend this one. So those are the 3 books that I read this week. I almost was like, should I have read more? But they were all pretty substantial books. God of the Woods was the longest, and 3 is perfectly fine. Now, last week might have given me false positivity because I have decided going into this week that I am going to continue to read some chunkier books, and I had quite a few Book of the Month Club books that I was trying to get through that I hadn't had. So the first book that I'm reading this month, or this week, that I've already started is The Wedding People. This is by Alison Espach, and this book is about a woman who, as far as I know, is going on a trip, and she books a hotel room, and the hotel is kind of all booked out for this wedding, and she runs into the bride, and they end up spending some time together. I'm not to that part yet. I've only gotten to her getting to the hotel, checking in, kind of looking at the things around her, and now we're kind of looking to her backstory as to why she is at the hotel, and there are some elements here of maybe some relationship issues that arose. Also, just, yeah, I don't want to spoil anything yet because something is causing her to be here. But so far it's good. I'm only 34 pages in, but I just started this afternoon and it is going well. Then I would also like to read another chunker. This is Children of Fallen Gods. This is book 2 of the War of Lost Hearts. I did read Daughter of No Worlds quite a while ago. And I've started this and stopped it several times, but I think this might be the time to do it. It is really long, but Carissa Broadbent's books move really, really fast if you get going with them. So I also have this on my Kindle, it's on Kindle Unlimited, and my hope is to push through both of these books. And then I have this book called Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice. It was on Kindle Unlimited. Let me just tell you what it's about. And I've been Team Oasis lately. My Paperwhite, the newest one, the agave one, has really been glitchy lately, like really glitchy. So this one says, Gilmore Girls fans, pour yourselves a hot cup of tea and get ready to fall in love with this cozy YA romance that will have you dreaming of autumn all year long. I almost don't need to read anything else because I do enjoy Gilmore Girls, and so that's going to be the cozy read. I don't know if I'm going to read this at night or Children of Fallen. Actually, you know what? I might read this at night all week and then read The Wedding People and then Children of Fallen Gods, but keep Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice in the background. So that, I think, is my plan. So that was a lot of information for my weekly wrap-ups. We have my bookish items. I will link this Etsy shop down below. I have the books that I purchased, the books that I read, and the books I'm going to read next week. So comment down below if you have read anything that I've talked about today, or if anything has intrigued you. Ask me some questions about it. Happy to respond. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.